Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Before we begin, let me introduce myself briefly. I am Ulfa Ulinuha and I represent for my team to representing our paper. I'll begin by outlining the health policies related to the implementation, protection, and fulfillment of the rights of persons with disabilities in Indonesia. And then I'll go on to highlight what the related the health policies and the perceptions of persons with disabilities. Finally, I'll briefly discuss why we need to change our perceptions and how it related to health policies and voicing the idea of implementing a law that can be implemented throughout Indonesia. Uh, Okay, for first I will share my screen too. There's um, okay. First of all, I'll introduce the topic and I'll continue with problems and objectives from this paper. To finish, I'll presenting with the result, discussion, and conclusion of this topic. So let's start with introduction first. Indonesia has 22.5 million persons with disabilities. Most people with disabilities in Indonesia live vulnerable, backward, and or poor condition due to the existence of restrictions, obstacles, difficulties, and reduction or elimination of the rights of persons with disabilities, stigma, prejudice, and denial of access to health service, education, employment, and participation in society put people with disabilities at risk of living in poverty. The equal rights of persons with disabilities have been regulated in Law Number 8 of 2017. However, not all local governments have the derivative regulations regarding personnel with disabilities. Uh, Based on the integration, we have 4 points of problems. First is lack of implementation of the law of the Republic of Indonesia number 8 of 2016. Second, there is still a stigma around persons with disabilities. Third, the protection and fulfillment of the disabilities right has not been optimal and evenly distributed. And the last, public or community participation to assist the government in implementing policies related to disability still needs to be improved. To for objective, we have 3 points. And first, reviewing various studies on perceptions and policies about disabilities in Indonesia. And next, discussing the need to address gaps in international law or regulation and enhance efforts to implement and enforce existing law regulations. And the last, voicing ideas regarding the implementation of policies on Indonesia on disability that can be applied in various regions in Indonesia. Methodology. Uh, we use methodology literature review method, whereas the data search process was determined by the following the inclusion criteria. So you can read the inclusion criteria on your screen. Okay, the next is result of findings of health policies. Uh, Search result for article related to implementation of law number 8 of 2016 in the health sector show that the implementation has not been maximized. The costs are various, ranging for the lack of transportation accessibility, the long distance, and to the cost of transportation. I give some example. For example, is I take a picture in the left. That picture is an example from first level healthcare or puskesmas. In Indonesia, there are just some disability friendly healthcare. The obstacles are the lack of need to make promotive and preventive the main program in public health efforts at the puskesmas, the lack of supports, guidance, and supervision from the puskesmas and the health office. The making of evaluation guidelines have not involved all relevant stakeholders. And another example is provinces in which all districts or cities have a regional regulation on the right of person with disability, Yogyakarta and Jakarta. Meanwhile, those that achieve more than 15% only provinces of Bali and Central Java. There is the rest still below 15%. And in the right picture, I screenshot the regulation of law number 8 of 2016 in the health sector. The regulation has not specific and too general in the field of implementation, protection, and fulfillment of the rights of person with disabilities. And also, if viewed from the derivative regulations, has not many regions have regional regulations. And the next is result of finding of perceptions and by Indonesia, Indonesian people, including policymakers, still have the perception that persons with disabilities are not considered a good candidate for a health promotion program because the purpose of health promotion is to prevent disease, not to treat the ill or disabled. The initial assumption that people with disabilities are sick people is following the concept of normality in society, which creates a negative understanding of disability in society. This negative understanding is mostly dominated by the concept of normality, where people who have different body shapes or behaviors are considered under, under, undesirable and cannot be accepted as part of the community. From those photos, most people think that people with wheelchair is illness. However, those are persons with disabilities. And the perceptions can build a new concept in human health with dynamic features and capabilities that can be measured and can be applied to people with disabilities. Based on the perceptions come up normality concept. People who are considered abnormal because their bodies and or mental condition are not like normal people. So we need to improve these perceptions through redefining health, changing the terms and definition used in the law and making specific policies. The next is discussion. Okay, implementation of law number 8 year 8 of 2016 is still lacking. the problem of persons with disabilities still seen in a certain scope and are not comprehensive. The one cause is perception about persons with disabilities. That perception make the person with disabilities are not good candidate for a health promotion because health promotion is preventive, not to treat illness people. So it have impacted law is not comprehensive. So, for the conclusion, we have 3 points. 4 points is based on review of the study. We know that the lack of implementation of the law is caused by perceptions of persons with disabilities. The result of the review to overcome the gap is by intensifying outreach, draft seminars, and training on disability for policymakers. Intersectoral cooperation is needed in policy information and conducting regulation evaluation. Facing the idea and the last conclusion is facing the idea of implementing a law that can be implemented throughout Indonesia by carrying out the mandatory delegation of persons responsible for the rights of persons with disabilities in each region. Okay. Uh, so that's all for our team. Thank you for attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.